Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with the scary reality about Borderlands 3. A lot of you who watch my channel consistently will realize that I did a scary reality video for Elder Scrolls 6. Now during that video I had a bit of an existential crisis to say the least. I promise you, I'm just struggling a little bit. However, this time around things are different with Borderlands 3. In fact, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum. We're probably getting the game very soon, likely fall of this year. So what's a scary reality about that, Matty? Are you just fear-mongering me? No, of course not, because despite all my hype, I think this is a discussion that we really need to have. In order to fully understand my perspective, let's roll back the clocks a bit to 2012 when we saw Borderlands 2 and 2014 when we saw Borderlands the pre-sequel. We live in the fastest changing industry across entertainment. For God's sakes, we see the most popular game on the web right now that happened without any marketing, any hype. It just dropped. A lot can change over time, and especially in the last 5 to 7 years since we've seen a Borderlands game. What's integral to that point is that Borderlands was on the cutting edge. It was the loot and shoot type of game. There was no competition, but as the industry progressed, and a month before we saw Borderlands the pre-sequel, we were introduced to the world of Destiny, which captured a lot of the industry by storm. Destiny received a sequel. We also saw The Division, which joined the loot and shoot genre. Then The Division is getting a sequel this month. We also saw the addition this year of Anthem. A lot of looting and shooting has been added to the repertoire of gamers. It's not as unique of an experience now as it was back then when it came to Borderlands. And I know Borderlands is far and above beyond just shooting and looting, but it is a core gameplay loop. I personally believe Borderlands really builds itself off its characters, its awareness of its universe, and how important it is to folks, and really drives that home and understands its fans and what they enjoy about their games.
Man, example, this one guy in New Haven, right? City's burning, people are dying left and right, yada, yada, yada. This jackal rushes me with a spoon, a freaking spoon, and I'm dying laughing, right? So I scoop out his stupid little eyeballs with it, and his kids are all, wah! And I can't even, he can't see where he's going. He's bumping into stuff, and anyway, I don't know, maybe he had to be there. The moral is, you're a total bitch.
But the point being is that the core loop of the game is to shoot a ton of enemies with randomly generated guns, keep looting, keep swapping them out, and keep building your character. There is this hook to the game, and that is very much it, which a lot of games have adapted to that hook and put their own little spins on it. So my question is, which is quite scary, is how does Borderlands stick out nowadays in a pool of games that all kind of do similar things? Hell, if you want to take a more narrow perspective, we could look at the Monster Hunter genre, which also includes a lot of killing, looting, and cycling that entire gameplay loop. Once again, I fully admit that's a more narrow perspective, but there has been a lot of killing, looting style games. We've seen Diablo return again via the Switch. That is a very popular thing right now. And while that may be the central point to a lot of games, there's a lot of surrounding parts which I think Borderlands personally does better than any of them I've listed. I find myself far more invested in the Borderlands universe than any other one. But the thing is that this game has been in development for so long that we're not sure when things started, what trends did Gearbox catch on to, what mechanics will feel like they've been in the oven far too long. It sort of reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 3, where I love that game, but there were some parts that felt fresh, new, innovative, and there were parts that felt like this game has been in development for far too long. And part of that's because the industry evolved so much as time went on, and that game was constantly in the oven, and it's like they just shut the blinds and made the game eventually. I'm afraid that could be happening with Borderlands 3 as more trends evolve, as new gameplay mechanics started to be added to these looter shooters. Is Borderlands going to actually be behind at the end of the day, or are they going to be doing their own thing? I think if Gearbox stays to the Borderlands vision, they'll be just fine. If they stick to looting, shooting, and evolve that, because they did that perfectly with Borderlands 2, adding badass ranks, adding all different types of guns, the golden keys. I digress. There was a lot added to the looter shooter experience to make it feel fresh. And I think if Gearbox were to add simply just an armor system in the game, that'd be enough to be an evolution, but I feel they're going to take it further. But I also wonder, games as a service has become a very popular thing in companies, and I get why. While a lot of gaming fans have not enjoyed it because it involves a lot of money coming out of the wallet, it does help companies because because they constantly earn revenue through one title. It becomes a platform and basically a money generating machine, if I'm honest. Borderlands, let's be honest, is ripe for that type of stuff. We could sort of see echoes of that with the golden keys, although it was just free shift codes. You had to set up an account and then you'd get these shift codes, you put them in your game, and you can use these golden keys to loot to your heart's content until you're out of keys. Now, I'm not accusing Gearbox of anything, and I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but I think we need to at least acknowledge the very real possibility that Borderlands is ripe for the exploitation of microtransactions, since it is very much in the genre of shooting and looting, and they can do a lot in that universe to keep it alive. So really, with that big change in the industry, does Borderlands remain the same? Do they still stay that co-op shooter for heroes, which some of them did leak, so I feel like they are going in that direction? Open level areas bigger than anything we've ever seen before, but not this shared world experience like we've seen in the likes of Destiny, Division, and so on. Because if anything's apparent, it's that Gearbox really needs a winner. We have to remember Battleborn, which I know a lot of people forgot. Sadly, I really liked that game and I wish it was alive. And the amount of times I've said it, I wished it was alive, I'd probably annoy all of my friends. But this game, man, I just hope they take some of those characters and toss them in Borderlands 3 some way, shape, or form. Make them quest givers, something along those lines. Do not let them go to waste. But point being is this game epically flopped in May of 2016, which is a damn shame, and it likely hurt Gearbox. I mean, they tried, they went out kicking and screaming trying to get this game going. They made parts free to play, they put this game on huge sales, they did everything they could, but I just think part of it was the Overwatch hype train was too strong at the time, which is kind of interesting to look at the game now where they have one of the most OP heroes added to the game and it's sort of destroying the meta apparently from what I've read. But point being is that really harmed Gearbox, and I think it actually may have set them back a bit because people wanted Borderlands 3 so bad and the timing just wasn't right for them either. So I really feel like they need to make Borderlands 3 be a money maker. And what better way than obviously games as a service? I'm not saying I want that by any means at all, but we do need to consider this very real possibility because of the situation Gearbox is in, what's been going on as a company, and how the industry has changed in our last time touching the Borderlands series, and I'm not including, by the way, the Telltale game. Furthermore, there is Borderlands, the pre-sequel, which not entirely on Gearbox because it was developed by 2K Australia, who is now closed down. Did not really light the world on fire. If we look at videogamecharts.com, which gives us a rough estimate of video game sales, we can see that Borderlands, the pre-sequel, did 0.75 million sales on the Xbox 360, which was the most popular console in the last generation. If you combine a rough estimate of the PS3 and the Windows PC, then I imagine we're looking at 1.5 to 2 million sales tops, which I doubt even scratched 2 million if the most popular console only sold 750,000 copies. Now, this may not seem like a big deal to folks, but when you look at Borderlands 2, which sold 12 million copies, this game failed epically in comparison. I know a lot viewed it as a glorified expansion pack, and rightfully so. So a lot of people did not rush out to pick this up. They wanted the true Borderlands sequel. That's what people are ready for. I think that's in part why Battleborn didn't do too well, because people are looking for that 3 attached to the Borderlands name. They don't want these spin-offs. They don't want any of this stuff. They just want that next entry in Borderlands. But I think we also have to consider Gearbox might be in a sticky situation because pre-sequel didn't do too well either. All in all, I don't know how much money the Borderlands license brought in, because when you look at also the Telltale series for Borderlands, Telltale's gone now, and they said that every game pretty much that they did outside of the first season of The Walking Dead was a failure, which means, yeah, even Borderlands failed there too. So Borderlands probably hasn't been raking in the dough all too much, but we'll see in due time how much that helps or hinders the product. I think Gearbox is chill enough where they're not gonna go ahead and try to steal all our money from us, but still, this is a conversation I wanted to have because I think it's a very important one to address. While I am full speed ahead hype train, you guys can tell I'm going all in on Borderlands because I was last year, and then they just stopped doing news. There was nothing else leaking out, but now we really have a lot to work off of. So I'm with you guys, I'm hyped, but I just wanted to have a more level-headed conversation about, hey, there's been a lot of change in the industry. We don't know which way Borderlands wants to go. Are they going to stick with looting and shooting co-op spaces, or are they going to do more shared world games as a service type platform? God, I hope not, but I want to hear what your thoughts are on this in the comments down below. Which direction do you think that Gearbox is heading in with Borderlands 3? Fingers crossed, like I said, just that 4-player co-op goodness. Let me have a world with my friends and enjoy that. I don't need this shared world experience with microtransactions, but time will tell. I imagine we'll get all our information on March 28th, which cannot come soon enough, man. I am counting down. Cannot wait. Anyway, fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Looking forward to what you have to say. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.